All right, we're now live. Oh, what is that?
Oh, that's awesome.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Stop. We're live.
These are the worst numbers in the world.
Oh, man. All right, so let's see if Neil can join. Can you join?
Yeah, no, it's just put the dimmers all the way at the bottom.
On air. All right. So if you're just watching, we're going to try and get everyone in the hangout that needs to be.
All right, you do it. Want to chat with Graham?
Yeah.
We're getting ZipRecruiter now.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to.
We can guy over with Ben. Ben. So Ben works at ZipRecruiter.
All right, what do we have? I can see and hear you. How do I join? Good question. We always have this problem. Let me try and invite you again. Invitation posted. See, this is the thing I always get mixed up on, because why is it so hard for people to join this? Anyone know? What am I doing wrong? We have 3 viewers, though. Is there one of you viewing it? No? There he is. Hello, Neil.
Hi.
All right, it worked.
That's looking better. How do I go?
Sorry, I'm running a little behind today.
No worries.
Is it loud enough for you guys? Oh, no, that's going through the projector, isn't it? I can send it through the Apple TV. How about now? Is that going to echo too much?
When I talk,
Is that worse, guys? Can you? I'm asking the guys here if they can hear that better. It sounds better? Okay. Can I turn it down? Yeah. Wait, that's my machine, but that might work. All right. Oh, we got 5 viewers. I don't know if they're just the people in here. Are you guys watching on your laptops? Okay. Let me just see if there's anyone else that wants to join this. It looks like I have to send invites directly to people to get them to join. So if anyone's watching, send me a message on Google Plus, and I can invite you guys into the meetup. Does it? Down here? How they're going right here?
No, to the right. Down and to the right. Right there.
So all these guys are watching right now? Or is it just that they're going to watch because they responded 4 others?
No. Oh, man.
Ken, Gabriel, Kat. Are there usually comments in here too? Where's? Let me try one more thing. I have to log in. Let's see. If Alan's watching, he's probably just cracking up because he's like, every time Steve cannot figure it out.
So I'm talking to some people at IRC, and they can hear you talking. They can hear me.
They couldn't hear me talking?
Yeah. So assuming that means they can hear me as well.
I see the green meter go when I talk, so I'm assuming that means they can hear me talk.
Yeah.
I think I have that. Oh, here's someone. Hey, there's Ryan. Okay, good. So some people can join.
Yeah. Actually, it sounds like people can listen in okay. You only have to invite them if they are going to talk.
Okay. Let's see, Ryan's here. Ryan, are you able to talk too? Can you unmute yourself? No, I'm not gonna use your drawing app, Ryan.
I've got an echo problem.
He always puts faces, like mustaches on my face and everything. So does Baber, don't you? Is the chat an app on the left-hand side? Yeah, I guess if people are watching and they want to join the Hangout, that's probably easier way to chat, because then you guys.
So apparently there's an echo problem with me.
Good to know.
Hopefully that's better now.
Well, once Neil starts talking, I guess I'll mute myself until I have something that I need to say, if I remember.
Okay, so you could mute, like I take the headphones off.
Okay. So where you see that? Are you in IRC, Faber?
Yeah.
Let's see. Is it network or how do you join or connect? I just want to check one more time if there's anyone that wants to join the Hangout that has not joined.
You do this often, do you?
Sorry, what's that?
You do this often, do you?
Oh, it's not my day job, that's for sure. No way. All right. All right. Well, we have 6 viewers. I'm guessing they don't really care to join the chat. That's fine. But yeah, if anyone's watching and wants to join, I recommend trying to join the Hangouts because that's easier to see the chat. But either way. All right. So what we wanted to try and do to start off was welcome Neil all the way from, where are you right now, Neil?
In Marlow, which is United Kingdom, about 30 miles west of London.
Great. Well, because we have a lot of remote people that have been joining the meetup lately, it's been great to open up the speakers to pretty much anyone that has a computer. So I'm really excited by the challenge that Neil started this year, where basically you can get a random module assigned to you, and then you can contribute back to CPAN by making a pull request on the GitHub page. So we're really privileged to have Neil take some time. I know it's probably past midnight now your time, so thanks for staying up late and taking a little time to tell us what's going on. And then, like I said, afterwards, if anyone's interested, we'll spend a little time and actually show how GitHub pull requests work if you've never done that. But otherwise, we'll have pizza later. Too bad we can't send any to you, Neil, but
yeah, I was going to say, where's my pizza?
Maybe next day we'll save some and mail it to you. So
yeah, maybe not.
All right, so thanks again, Neil, for joining us, and the microphone is yours. I'll mute myself, and if you don't mind giving us for those of you who aren't aware of your background, that'd be great if you could give a little introduction about yourself, and then I'll be sure to field any questions as they come up. So thanks again.
Okay. Sure. So I'll take my headphones off, but tell me.
Hi, So I've been programming in Perl since 1992, 1993. I was kind of dedicated day job programming for until the late 90s. Then I became a manager, managing developers. So for kind of 10 years I was in the Perl development wilderness, but doing kind of Perl hacking on the side as relaxation, but not really doing much stuff in the community or on CPAN. Then I was made redundant and started a company with a friend. Oh, picture's disappeared. I'll keep talking, hoping that...
Oh, it's okay. I just turned off my video.
Ah, okay. Started a company with a friend and back kind of programming for my regular day job, and really got involved back in the kind of Perl community about 4 years ago. One of my big interests around Perl is CPAN curation. There's loads of stuff on CPAN, but it's of a kind of very mixed quality. People come, people go. So I've tried lots of different sort of ideas to encourage people to improve what's already on CPAN. And so in the last couple of years, I've tried coming up with various challenges to try and make it fun. There was a challenge last year, which I think maybe a dozen people, not even that, signed up for that, and a lot less than that actually made it to the end of the year. You might have seen about CPAN last year, CPAN Day last August, which was another thing to try and get people to update their dists, follow modern conventions. Then in December last year, no, November I guess, Olaf Alders from the MetaCPAN project posted about 24 pull requests project, where basically the idea is for the 24 days of Advent, you try and do a pull request on a different repository. So I thought that sounds good. I'll sign up for that. That's pretty hard work doing 24 pull requests, one a day, particularly because you've got to go and find a repository that you can contribute to. So I thought, I wonder, can I merge these two ideas together, but something that's not so much work. So I thought, well, how about instead of a pull request a day, a pull request per month, and I'll assign the dists to people. So I picked, to kind of test the idea, I picked a distribution at random, which was one of Ether's distributions, Karen Etheridge. And when I first looked at it, I thought, oh geez, there's nothing I can do here. There's only about 20 lines of code. But after looking at it, I realized there was something I could do. And that encouraged me, so I posted something on my blog at the end of November announcing the competition, saying it's a challenge. You email me your GitHub username, I'll send you a randomly picked distribution each month, and you have a month to do a pull request. I'll send it to you on the 1st of the month. And I kind of assumed that I'd get like a dozen people taking part, the usual kind of suspects. And so after putting it on my blog, I think I had about 18 people had signed up by December the 23rd. So then on Christmas Eve, while waiting for my son to go to sleep, I thought, I'll post it onto blogs.perl.org just to see if anyone else is thinking, oh, what am I going to do next year for a New Year's resolution? So I posted it. Someone very quickly mailed me back saying, you sad muppet, it's Christmas Eve. But signed up, so that was okay. And that seemed to get a bit more traction. And so I had 54 people, another 54 people signed up by December the 30th. Over the New Year, I was staying at my mother-in-law's and just checking my email every now and then, and suddenly my mailbox started exploding. It was just the emails were arriving almost faster than I could deal with them. I was thinking, what the hell's going on here? I can't imagine suddenly everyone started reading blogs.perl.org on New Year's Eve. And then Olaf again got in touch and said, oh, you're on the front page of Hacker News. And then a bit later, it was like, oh, you're #1 on Hacker News. So I thought, that explains it.
So did your website have any Slashdot effect or Hacker News effect from all the traffic?
Yeah, just a bit.
Good.
So my blog, I've got Google Analytics on my personal blog, and I only look at it every now and then. So the other day I went and looked at it, and I thought, holy crap, okay, so that's the day when it kind of appeared on Hacker News. Suddenly, so normally I get a spike whenever something of mine appears in Perl Weekly, and a bunch of people come and look at it. But suddenly all those spikes are kind of flattened down. There's just this huge Hacker News spike now in my stats. Because no one mentioned this. They were just signing up and doing what my instructions was, which was send me your GitHub username. So no one mentioned where they'd seen this, or not at first anyway. So as of today, there are 355 people who are signed up who've had a distribution assigned to them. So a bit.
Oh, that's great. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's a bit more than the 12 I was expecting. And on December the 30th, so my plan, which I didn't actually reveal, was that when I said, oh, I'll randomly select a distribution, was, I'll have 10 people, and actually I will hand pick the distributions so that these are valuable distributions that are used a lot, that's used by other distributions, that are kind of modern things, but they've got a lot of bugs in their queue, so there's kind of valuable work to be done. And suddenly I had like 200 or 300 distributions to pick. So that obviously wasn't going to be a hand curation job every month. So after we'd seen in the new year and everyone else went to bed, I stayed up till about 3 a.m. madly hacking some scripts to select distributions. And in a minute I'll get onto how that's working and how that's going to keep evolving. But in all these emails, so a lot of people just send me their GitHub user ID, but quite a few of the emails people say something about, oh, this is really good, I'm kind of excited, and there were two really interesting groups that kind of stood out in the wave of email that I got on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. The first one was people who said they've been doing Perl for a long time, but they didn't have anything on CPAN, and they'd always wanted some way they could feel like they were giving something back. And suddenly, here was this thing, and that was kind of what really resonated with them. So there's a bunch of those, and one stuck in my mind. She has been a full-time programmer in Perl, a day job since 1997. But this was the thing that had prompted her to, right, I should do some more in the community. Which kind of was really good, like, yeah, that's why I'm doing this. The other group was quite a few people who said they used to program in Perl, they really love Perl, but now their day job they're programming something else, but they've got a real soft spot still for Perl, and so this was a perfect opportunity for them to keep doing some Perl as a side project. And I think the other thing is, it's kind of like a low barrier to entry, like CPAN itself. So you just send me email, and once a month I'll send you an email. And one pull request a month doesn't sound like too much work. I got a few. There were a few students who signed up saying, "Oh, this is actually hard."
Sorry.
A number of the students have dropped out already, which I kind of expected, I guess. I think there still are some students left, but it seems like most people involved are professional programmers of some kind. So how it works, I've got a database of CPAN distributions, which I used. I already had this for building the adoption list. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Whoa, I can see everyone.
Sorry, yeah, I thought it was only fair that you'd be able to see who you're talking to.
So I've basically kind of augmented this. It's got a load of metadata about distributions, like how many other distributions are using them, when it was last updated, how many bugs there are, whether it's got a GitHub repo in its metadata, whether that repo actually exists, and a bunch of other things. And so using this information, I score the distributions. Each distribution gets a score for how good a candidate is this for the challenge. And then when I need to assign distributions, it basically gets an ordered list, finds distributions that haven't been assigned yet, and assigns them, and then sends an email saying, right, this is your distribution, here's your instructions, and gradually it will also tell them where I've identified things that you can definitely do of value. It will list those as well to kind of give people a start on, here's the things you could consider doing. So they then have a month. So the goal is that everyone will get this on the 1st, but people are still applying even now. So I added some people about half an hour before coming here to do the talk. So they've only had 15 days for January. But what we say to them is get in touch with the author, have a look and see if there's some obvious bugs that you feel like fixing in the bug list. Go and have a look on CPANs, go and look at CPAN testers, see if there's any fails that you think, okay, I can sort that out. And if you get a response from the author who are saying, yeah, it would really help me if you do this, then do something so that you can feel that you really are contributing something to the distribution. If not, we've got an IRC channel, which is pretty active, and there's a mailing list. So people can mail, and we've had a number doing this, saying, this is my distribution, I can't think of anything to do. And there are quite a lot of experienced people on the mailing list and on the IRC channel who can go and look at the distribution and give you some ideas. And so we've had that. And I've had quite a few people mailing me saying, I can't think of anything to do, can you give me another distribution? And I kind of take that as a personal challenge to persuade them, identify something and say, look, you could do, here's some things you can do, how about you give that a go? And so far, most of them I've kind of managed, they've said, oh, okay, right. So part of this I see as well as kind of like helping us all learn from each other what are the things we can do to improve distributions.
Yeah, but I was curious about how many people kind of responded saying, thanks for the module, but I'd rather have something else.
I was going to say, yeah, everyone who gets your modules says that, but I don't know if you've actually got any modules on.
I have one, but it's not a good one.
Maybe we could do something about that. So probably the most common one was people saying, "Oh, geez, I got an XS module and I know nothing about C. Can you give me another module?" So those people, I kind of say, yeah, okay, fair enough. You know, if they want to actually make changes to the module and they just don't know C, then fine, I'll give them a different module. I've probably had maybe 15 people or so. It feels like it's kind of on average one a day, and most of them at the moment managing to turn around and say, and they end up saying, okay, I'll stick with the one you've given me. But so we've got 350 people taking part, and 12 months. I mean, they're obviously not all going to stick with the 12 months. It would be fab if they did. But I've got a list of, at the moment, it's about 9,200 distributions on CPAN that have a GitHub repo listed. So I kind of figure, out of that 9,200 distributions, I've got to find about the top 4,000 in terms of value to CPAN and try and assign those ones. With January, because it was such a scramble when all these people turned up, and I've been kind of madly evolving the tools. So a number of people have had distributions where they say, well, there's no bugs and no one else seems to be using this module. But usually we still point stuff out and I say, okay, hopefully next month you'll get a better distribution. And then when people have done at least one pull request, at that point they can say, right, I'm done. And they send me an email with, here's my GitHub username and I'm done. and I then log that in the database. And so part of it, I want to be able to keep data as well so I can show a burn-up chart through the month of, here's how it works, and here's everyone at the end of the month go, oh shit, I better get my push-pull request done. So that's about it on kind of like the mechanism. So a number of people have mailed me ideas saying, oh, here's some things you could use to add to the score. So I've got a big list now of factors that I'm going to gradually add through the rest of this month, so that next month most people will hopefully get a distribution where my tool will be able to list at least one thing where I can say, here's one thing that we know is a good thing to do for this distribution. So one example is the any : moose module. That's now been deprecated, and kind of the recommendation is to just use moo instead. So all distributions in my list, i.e. they've got a GitHub repo, if they're using that, they'll get a +1 on their score because they're using any moose. So if there's anyone listening has further ideas, send them in. I'm Neil B at cpan.org. At some point soon, I'll be writing a blog post where I'll go through, these are all the factors that I'm going to roll in. And I keep meaning to do that, kind of every night I sit down to do it, but most of the time at the moment my evenings are spent dealing with emails about the challenge and signing people up, sending them details, and kind of responding to requests for help, and coding up the next thing on my to-do list. So my assumption / hope is that the first half and perhaps all of January is going to be a bit mad, but I'm kind of hoping it'll calm down, and then it'll just kind of get into a bit more of a steady state where at the start of the month there'll be a little bit of flurry of activity as everyone is getting their distribution assigned and saying, oh, I don't like this, etc. Then everyone will settle down to get on with the work, and then perhaps a little flurry at the end of the month. Oh yeah, I started talking about how when you claim you're done. So as soon as you submit your first pull request, you can say, that's it, I'm done. And you can send me that mail then. Some people have said that they're going to wait to see, does it get merged? And a number of people have said, well, they've done their first one. They did perhaps a documentation update for their first pull request. And then they've got some ideas for the second or third pull request. So there's kind of like a real range. Some people are very experienced with GitHub and some people aren't. So we've got a number of documents online that various people have written to help with, here's a list of ideas for things you can do with your distribution, ideas for your pull request. Sawyer X wrote a tutorial on here's how to do a pull request for like a beginner, someone who's new, but someone who knows Perl and a bit about CPAN. So we're gradually building up various documents. One of the things this is showing is where we don't have good documentation on certain things, I tend to get email about it, people saying, it's not at all obvious to me how to do this. So Gabor Sabo, who runs Perl Maven and Perl Weekly, he's working on a few articles as well to try and support this. So hopefully there's kind of some good side effects, and
yeah, and we should talk. We'll make sure to post some of those links on the meetup page so you guys can see those recommendations on how to do a good pull request.
Okay, I'll see afterwards.
Yeah, I think I've seen a couple posts like you were talking about that we're kind of trying to advertise some good conventions. So make sure the group can find those easily.
And that's also the kind of thing that on the mailing list that people kind of mailing, I'm trying to encourage, so everyone who mails me questions, I'm trying to encourage everyone to put it on the group, because if one person is thinking this, there's a good chance that there'll be some others who are thinking it, but think perhaps a bit nervous to ask, thinking, I don't want to look like I'm a newbie. And I'm also trying to make it clear that there's loads of stuff that I'm not familiar with that I'm learning through doing this as well. So I'm quite a lightweight at GitHub. So this is also a good thing for me in that it's forcing me to learn kind of best practices for using Git and GitHub, which I certainly wasn't doing. So hopefully, you know, everyone who's doing this will feel they're learning something or at least having fun. So I mean, a big part of this is make CPAN better for all of us, but you know, have some fun. Don't get too stressed. You know, it's only one dist. If it comes down to it, you know, you can just fix some typos, make a small change. This is not supposed to be hard work for people. So it's meant to be a fun side project. I wasn't sure, you mentioned when we were having a chat about this before, you said you weren't sure whether everyone was familiar with doing pull requests. You said you were going to talk about it afterwards, so I drew a picture here in case you wanted me to talk through it. But
yeah, perfect.
Or if you've got questions people want to ask, cool too.
Yeah, you guys have any questions for Neil while we're on a break? No, nothing? But yeah, I think it'd be great to show the group the sweet drawing you made. I think that'd be useful.
Okay, can you see that okay? Is it readable?
Yeah, it looks great.
Okay, so let's say some guy, Fred Blogs, has a module. Oh, let me just. So Fred Blogs, this is his computer here, and he's written a module foo::bar, and it's released as a foo-bar distribution, and he releases it through pause onto CPAN. So his pause ID is FredB, and so this is his account on his user directory on CPAN. So every time it does a release, he puts it onto CPAN. He also, so this box up here, the blue box, is GitHub. So he also stores it on GitHub. Usually the distributions are named very similar to the Perl distribution, the repository, but sometimes you'll see there are P5 in front for Perl 5 or maybe a dash Perl at the end. So every time he does a release of his module, he does a release to CPAN, he then does a git tag and a git push, and he pushes it onto GitHub. And I've just noticed a piece that's missing. So when in the metadata for your distribution, so this is the meta.yaml and the meta.json, there's a load of kind of meta information about your distribution, and one of the optional fields in there that you can put is to identify the repository. So in your distribution here, you can provide a link that says the GitHub repo for this thing on CPAN is this repository over here. So let's say that then becomes a candidate for the competition, for the challenge. So I use the Meta CPAN API to find all distributions on CPAN that have a GitHub repo specified in their metadata. So on CPAN there's about 30,000 distributions. So this means that about 9,200 of them have got a GitHub repo. If this was assigned to you in the competition, the first thing you want to do is fork the repo. So that's this green arrow here. So it basically creates a copy of the original repository for you. So it's basically a clone of it on GitHub. The next step that you'll do typically is you clone it, which basically brings a copy down to your machine where you can then work on it. So you might fix some bugs, fix some documentation, and you commit the changes here, and then when you're finished, you think, right, okay, now I'm ready to submit this to the author as a proposed change. So you push it back to your repository, and at that point, you submit a pull request to the author, which says, I've got some committed changes in my copy of your repository, and I'd like you to accept them and release them. They get an email saying this person has submitted a pull request. They can then go to the web interface and they can review it. So they can see a diff of the changes, they can see what files you've modified. And when you submit the pull request, you essentially have a cover note where you describe these are the changes I've made and why I've done them. and they can see the individual commits you did as well. So as I'm talking, I've just seen an email come in saying, I hope it's not too late, can I sign up for the CPAN challenge?
All right, is anyone watching?
I don't know if it's someone who's watching. I didn't see, didn't spot the name. So right now I'm getting about probably 3 or 4 a day, kind of after the surge. That feels like, yeah, peanuts, I can handle that now. After getting like 200 in a couple of hours, that's no problem. So when you submit your pull request, it has a cover note that says where you describe your changes and why you're wanting to do them. The web interface lets this person here go and review your changes, and if he hasn't made his own changes or someone else hasn't submitted changes, then very often it's a straightforward merge, and the GitHub interface will say you can just merge this automatically. They just click a button and it's merged. And then, so now this copy here is ahead of this version over here. So normally what someone will do, they'll then pull this version down to here, make sure everything's okay, and then do a release to CPAN. Quite often what will happen is you submit a pull request to an author and you might not hear anything. So one of the blog posts I did was to say, look, it's very easy when you submit a pull request to sit there thinking, come on, where are you? I've done all this hard work. I fixed a bug for you. Where's my merge? And saying the author doesn't owe you a merge. This is something you kind of have to offer up and not get too emotionally attached to, and also realize that people are busy. They're in different time zones, so kind of let it go and go and hack on something else. And I've had pull requests that were merged 6 months later. Hopefully, with all the noise that we're kind of getting around the challenge, we won't get many cases that are kind of 6-month merges. We've had a lot of merges and releases done already for people. So, but some people will be unlucky. But you just have to hope that next month you can carry on and you'll get a different distribution and your changes will get merged. And that maybe come March or April you might then find that your January change does get merged. So that's kind of like the high-level view of what's going on and where pull requests kind of fit in. But so I have a really simplistic approach to how I've been doing this in the past, because I'm a lone coder and most of the time it's just me working on my modules, and every now and then someone sends me a pull request. There are a lot of people though who are used to working in big teams and who are working on big Perl projects with multiple people, who are kind of much more high power users of GitHub. And that's one of the things that I'm really kind of enjoying, is that I feel like I'm learning lots from these people about how to do Git properly. Looks like you're about to ask a question there, Steve.
Oh yeah, one question that came up was, how much will people get paid to submit these pull requests?
They get paid in karma.
Oh, okay.
They feel good. So there are certain things that I see people doing and comments they make that make me feel that this is why I'm doing this. So I had someone said that she'd been programming in Perl for a long time, had never thought of a CPAN distribution that she could do on her own. So this was a way to for her to get engaged. And now she's working on her first distribution to release to CPAN. So not only are we fixing bugs and improving stuff on CPAN, we're kind of getting more people engaged, and perhaps stuff that's code that someone's had already that might be useful for others, and now they're thinking, oh yeah, I will release this. Because by getting involved in this, people are learning a bit more about the tool chain, and also learning that there are friendly people out there who will help you. And just jump on IRC and someone will step you through. I've just had another message from someone saying I'm done. Someone's just completed their pull request. So this is really good. This kind of flow of email that I'm getting is nice little messages from people saying, "Hey, great! This is awesome! I've just done my first pull request." So it's really good fun for me, this project.
One other serious question I had was, there were some recommendations on how to make a proper pull request. Are there any recommendations, maybe just CPAN wide, that I haven't seen on good commit messages? I know the Linux kernel has a nice style guide for how to make commit messages. Is there anything that the Perl community has adopted?
If there is, I haven't seen it. That's a really good question. So a couple of the documents that have been written, and I've seen other things kind of talk about when you're making changes, do the changes atomically. So if you're thinking of perhaps improving the documentation and fixing a bug, don't just lump all that stuff together. But so first, do your documentation change, and when you do it, update the change log and possibly some tests. So do everything related to that change and do that in a single commit with a good commit message, and then fix the bug and do everything related to that in one commit. So that then the person who gets your pull request will see your cover note, and then they'll see there's two commits here. This one does documentation, this one fixes a bug. And obviously the reason for doing that is when doing your pull request, you want to make things as easy as possible for the recipient of the pull request. So, if you've updated the change log and done everything else, such that the person gets it and thinks, "Oh wow, this is great. This is ready for me to release. I can just merge and release." Then they're more likely to. The easier you make it for them, the more likely I think that they're going to merge your pull request. But also, if you do them in nice separate commits. You might have fixed a bug, done some documentation, and then you've decided that your API sucked, and I've changed the design of your API. They'll say, "Okay, well, I'll take these two, thank you very much, but maybe I'm not going to do this one just yet. I'll discuss that one with you." So,
nice.
But with that, what we'd probably recommend is actually you could do these in separate branches and do this one that's perhaps a bit more contentious. Do it in a separate pull request on a separate branch, because then you can work on this separately. That again makes it even easier for the person to say, "I like these two, I'll just merge, hit the button on GitHub and merge that, but let's discuss the other one." So I've made a note. That's a really good thing that we should add some links to kind of best practice on commit messages and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think just a heads up, we're probably going to get cut off in 3 minutes because I scheduled the on-air hangout for 1 hour. Last question I had was, I was talking to someone and he was asking if you make a pull request and the maintainer suggests to do something a little bit different, and so basically requiring you to rework the commits you already made. Would you recommend trashing that branch and starting over, or just continuing making changes?
So, see, now we get to the point where I'm probably not the the best person to ask. So what I've done in that point is when it's kind of like, okay, I need to start again. Now I'll just trash the branch and do it again. But there are some situations where, so a simple example of that might be where the author says you haven't added it, so maybe you've changed some code. And the author says, "Could you fix the test, please? Or could you add a test for this change you've done?" Well, in that case, you could go and perhaps add a test, and you could do git commit minus amend to say, basically, actually, fold this into my commit, so make it part of the same commit. But beyond that, there's probably other people who are watching this who are a lot more experienced on doing that sort of stuff who would give a much better answer than I would.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, I think we better call it here before we get cut off without our chance to say thank you very much for, number one, starting the challenge. I think this is going to be a great way for people that didn't have the right motivation to get involved. Hopefully,
have a sweepstake there when you're having your pizza, and everyone have a guess. How many people do you think are going to be left at the end of the year? So we've got 355 right now. So get everyone to write down how many people do you think will submit a pull request in December.
All right, we'll do. Yeah, and see how many of the guys in the group I can convince to do it too. I'm guessing two.
Yes.
But
I can keep taking new sign-ups at any point.
awesome, great.
Thank you for having me. This is my second ever Pearlmongers meeting.
That's awesome. We're really lucky to have you. So thanks so much for the time, and we look forward to seeing how the challenge goes, and maybe we'll have you hopefully again next year to kind of give a recap of how it went.
I'd love to do it.
Awesome.
All right, I look forward to sign-ups from Milwaukee then.
Yeah, I'll make sure that happens.
Okay.
Excellent. Thanks again. Have a good night.
Thanks. Good night.